as sharp as a knife. Turns to cotton when you show.
So you spent a lot of your time doing sessions for other folks, but now you've made your own record. So what caused you to come to that decision?
I guess I was been a sideman for about 10 years now, and playing a lot of country and Americana music that I love,
Right.
which is great. But I grew up listening to a lot of old English folk music and like
Right.
prog music, and I've kind of that kind of got me into music really, and I've always had a kind of passion of wanting to make a sort of album in that sort of vein. So so I just done it, and I noticed there was a lot of people in Nashville that are into that sort of music, and then
Right.
I kind of rounded them up and kind of
Good on you, because
yeah.
it's a very un-Nashville sounding record, to be perfectly honest.
So,
Britishness definitely comes through on it.
yeah, I can't really put on an American accent. I have quite a thick London accent, I do, so it's quite
Right, but it's more than your accent. I mean, it's the music that, I mean, there's all sorts of things in there which we should talk about, but it's interesting. To me, it made me think of the Beatles, because George Harrison and Ringo Starr both used was it Pete Drake and Boku of Blues and All Things Must Pass and all that stuff, and that kind I don't know if that was the beginning of, and there's Fairport Convention and people like that as well, I guess. So is that stuff that you listen to and draw from?
I got into the pedal steel because of listening to George Harrison, and then I heard Pete Drake. And,
right.
Kind of All Things Must Pass was one of the first things. I was like, oh wow, what's that sound? So and I kind of got into steel guitar from like listening to 60s and 70s pop records, not essentially country records. So
right.
And I like playing and putting steel guitar. When I get excited when I play steel guitar in a like non-country sort of format. I like playing country music as well, but it's
kind of And one of the tracks is called Imminent Shadow, and it's another Drake that comes to mind with that one. That's Nick Drake.
Oh, yeah.
No relation. No relation.
No.
Yeah. So tell me how all this stuff comes out in this music, in this record that you made.
You wait in silence when I was young, when I was innocent and free. My imminent shadow.
I don't know. I guess because I've been a pedal steel player professionally for like 10 years. Do you call playing music professionally? Professionally, I don't know. I still don't consider it like.
If you're getting paid for it, it's professional.
Yeah, exactly. I've been playing steel guitar for like 10 years now, and I wanted to make a record where I felt sort of insecure and sort of like they wanted to have like the naiveties of just like singing, like, and not being scared about playing music again. Because when you're younger, you first learn to play music and record music, and you don't really know what you're doing. There's an essence of that sounding better. You know what I mean? It's almost like that naive sound of music is like some of my favourite records sound like.
Right.
So I kind of wanted that. I've never sung before. I've never really kind of written lyrics before. I've never kind of organised a band together before, and so I wanted it. I wanted that. I wanted to sound vulnerable and kind of and for me to sound like I'm terrified.
And were you?
Yeah, it was always
good on you.
I guess. Yeah.
So when you were in the studio, I mean, you're used to being a session cat, a Nashville cat, as it were. Suddenly, you're the man. So did it change the way that you interacted with the other musicians?
A little bit. I chose the people that are on the record, kind of were friends of mine, and kind of helped. I chose them because I wanted their input just as much as mine. I never wanted it to feel like even though it's got my name on it, and I never wanted it to. I still wanted to feel like a band, and not like more like a cult of a group of people that kind of like share ideas and whatnot. So, but yeah, unfortunately, it's got my name on it.
But it's got your name on it, and it's also a coin collection. So what does that refer to?
Oh, my dad used to collect like terrible, like Royal Mail or
Right.
Royal, the like, you know, I'm not really a royalist, so he used to collect like, you know, coins of like Princess Diana or,
Yep.
you know, yeah, it's just terrible sort of old thinking, oh, this will be worth a bit of money in a few years' time. So it's not worth anything. So I always like the idea of like a collection of people, you know, that I'm a fan of. So
Right. Because what you grew up in, what, like Essex, right?
yeah, and Romford, which some people don't think it's actually in Essex. I guess it's East London, but it used to be part of Essex. So now it's kind of East London, so
Yeah.
Greater London. So
it must have been a big deal for you to come to Nashville.
yeah, it was. I used to live in Detroit.
I didn't see that one coming.
No. I went from London and then met a band that were from Detroit, and I toured with them for a little bit. Then went back to London, and then I started touring with a lot of Nashville artists in London that were like kind of having success overseas. And so yeah, and then I just was like, I can get more work playing steel guitar in Nashville. So
definitely, that's the place to be if you want to play the pedal steel, I guess. But is there a different mentality about musicians in different countries, like moving from?
It feels easier to make music here.
Really?
Because yeah, you know, if I needed a flautist in like an hour's time,
yep,
it would be easy to get. Or if I need, you know, it's really easy to, and it's, you know, to travel. Like I've recorded in like LA and like other places, and it's kind of like, it seems like with traffic and it's really hard to sort of like organise just the rehearsals. But Nashville still is a small town where it's very easy to make a record and to find musicians, you know, and whatever style, really, you know, not just country.
And obviously you did find a flautist, because I can hear some.
Yeah, I found one. I put him to work.
Good on you. Yeah. So, and you have a group of other people playing on the record. So tell me a little bit about who you're working with.
There's a girl called Erin Ray, who I'm a big fan of, who I saw at a venue in Nashville years ago called The Fond Object. And she's a wonderful like folk singer. She kind of has that sort of, you know, her music sounds like the Wrecking Crew meets Sandy Denny, sort of like, you know, beautiful, yeah. And then there's Caitlin Rose, who's a singer-songwriter in Nashville I toured with for years, who, you know, there's a guy called Sean Thompson, no relation to Richard Thompson, but he does sound, his influence is Richard Thompson. So
there you go.
Yeah, a guy called Skyway piano player, great artist. Yeah, Annie Williams, another singer. Yeah, it's a lot of you know, different people. So
I got to ask you, are you wearing a Big Star T-shirt?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Oh, it is Big Star. There you go.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. I was just recording at Ardent about a month ago.
That's in Memphis, is that right?
Yeah, Memphis. Yeah. And
what was that like?
It was amazing. It hasn't changed a bit.
Really?
A lot of these studios in Nashville, the only thing in Nashville, it seems like it's hard to find like an original, even like the Kwanzaa Hut in Nashville is like where Dylan recorded. It's completely changed. And a lot of these old studios have like, you know, they've been modernized and whatnot. But you go to like Memphis or like, you know, Muscle Shoals and like, you know, these parts on the outskirts of like, you know, Alabama, you know, that these studios are still there's still like that 70s carpet on the walls. And
love it.
Yeah, and it's the Big Star drummer that runs the studio.
That's Jody Stevens, is it?
That's it. Yeah. So and I was a huge fan, and I was doing work for someone, and yeah, it was blatantly obvious that I was a huge Big Star fan because I wouldn't stop bothering him, and he loved talking about it.
He must have loved it. I'm sure he did.
Oh, he busted out Chris Bell's guitars.
Oh, nice.
Showed us the drum kit, and there was the melody. Yeah, so I was like, well, I'm going to buy some swag. If I'm there, I'm going to buy some swag, ain't I?
That's excellent. That's far out. Now, from that, I have to talk to you about the 5th track on your album, which I can't pronounce.
I just say Books the Hoodoo. These chicks Books the Hoodoo. Is that the one? Yeah.
Yeah. The 8-minute and 37-second Krautrock thing.
Yeah.
It's not something I'd expect from a record recorded in Nashville. So tell me about that one.
I love Krautrock and and all that noise. So, and I feel like that lives in the same world as like folk music.
Really?
Yeah, I think so, because I feel like it's easy. You know, I feel like Eno was a good transition of, you know, you could easily sort of, you know, I feel it's easy to have like put a motoric beat over like folk music over cool, like, you know.
Yeah.
They live in the same world, I think. You know.
Very cool. Very cool. So we've talked about the Beatles and Big Star and Can. You're a music journalist dream. It's all the cool stuff. But the other one that I want to touch on was Pink Floyd with this track "My Protector."
I cannot leave you all alone. We're so alike, but you're still full of wonder. Or after is a happy home, to return to home.
Oh yeah,
kind of early, you know, pre Dark Side of the Moon kind of thing happening there.
Yeah. There's a couple of homages to like, you know, early sort of Pink Floyd sort of Ummagumma era.
Ummagumma, yeah.
yeah. So okay, there's a lot of sort of tip of the hat, you could say.
Tip of the hat. So what? Yeah. So these musicians that you have working with you in Nashville, what were they thinking? Did you talk to them about?
They're all into. They completely know exactly what all that's about.
Really?
Chosen. Yeah, there's a great little scene of like, you know, in East Nashville of like all those musicians there. Yeah, that's what I've chosen. They're kind of like they know exactly what. You know.
Yeah. Well, I guess Nashville is more than just country music these days, anyway, isn't it?
Exactly. Too right. You know. So,
yeah. Because I think. Speaking of Detroit, I believe Jack White has moved his operation down there.
Oh yeah. Well, when I lived there, I kind of like he moved there, and you could tell like everyone in Detroit was like, "Oh, we're gonna move there too." You know, yeah. It's kind of like the Pied Piper, and everyone following him. So
right. Now, when I was listening to the album on Spotify, I noticed stereo separation was different than normal. It was more kind of retro-y sounding.
Oh yeah.
Was that on purpose?
Oh yeah. A lot of people have complained about that. You know, I guess it isn't like centered because my vocals are like every modern music vocals should be centered, and I was like, no, a vocal can be. You know, I always liked having like one ear in and Beatles records, and you know, you just hear like the drums and the vocals, and but like extreme panning. I wanted it very heavy. So it sounds a lot of people complain when they listen to it on their iPhone because it's so like panned.
Right. Well, if you only, and of course, probably some people accidentally, for whatever reason, are only listening to one channel.
Yeah, exactly.
Then they're screwed.
Yeah, and I was like, well, then you need to get your stereo fixed. Hopefully, encourage people to get better stereo systems.
Fair enough. Yeah, but I thought it was very kind of. It reminded me of those early Beatles records.
Yeah, I love all that, and like I'm a big Soft Machine fan. Like, and it's kind of like, you know, there's a record called Soft Machine Third. And it's kind of like very sort of heavy panning, and you know,
right. And in my research, I think I read that you kind of were mentored by B.J. Cole. Is that right?
Yeah, he taught me steel guitar when I first started learning, so it was great. So
how did you make that happen?
I met him at a show. I went to one of his gigs in London, a place called the Spitz music venue, and I kind of was like, "Can you teach me? Please teach me, please." And then and then I kind of got friends with him, and I started learning off it, learning tons of. Then we used to go around there and just listen to music and listen to great pedal steel music. And now I've been friends with him ever since. So we still keep in contact. We chatted recently.
Oh, cool.
Via the Zoom. So.
Nice. So you're doing singing on the record.
Yeah.
And I was kind of wondering if once you become a vocalist, does that affect the way you play your instrument as well?
Not really. I guess when I first moved to Nashville, I would like, I got a fast lesson to sort of listen to vocals, and you know, I never play on top of the vocals and work around it, and you know, just play for the song. So I've always had that in mind. So, with playing music, it was a very like fast lesson of, stop whittling. Stop playing too many notes. So I'm not a big fan of playing a lot of notes.
Right. And when you're playing sessions, what do you look for from, say, a producer or the artist? What kind of communication do you want from them so that you can get what they want?
Anything really, whatever they want, whatever their like idea is or vision, or I try and be as adaptable and nice as possible.
I assume that's part of the gig when being a kind of musician for hire, adaptable and nice.
Yeah, I mean, it goes from like one song. Today I was doing like country demos or just demos, and in a studio, and they're like one song every 30 minutes, where they put a chart in front of you,
right?
And you have to just do a song per 30 minutes. It's sort of people all around the world, and they want these set of songs cut in Nashville, and it can be anything. And like some stuff is like, can you make it not sound as country? I'll try and, I was like, well, I'm playing the pedal steel guitar.
I was going to say, that's kind of difficult.
Yeah, but I'm kind of adapting to I'll have like effects pedals and a kind of move.
Right.
I like kind of, if someone asks for that, I find it quite an enjoyable challenge to try and, move it away from that and kind of make the pedal steel more adaptable to other styles of music. So yeah, I think that's the main thing of playing music in Nashville, is just to adapt to various styles of music. So.
Gotcha. And of course, I have to ask you, because you've worked with all sorts of people, Dolly Parton and Deer Tick and Miranda Lambert. Do you have a favorite story of somebody working with somebody like that?
I don't know. I don't really have any juicy gossip, actually. They're all really, the problem is you kind of worry that there's like, a lot of drama and whatnot, and, crazy cocaine and alcohol benders and whatever. There's nothing. The thing is, everyone's been really nice.
Right. Well, that's all right. That's what you want.
I guess a few years ago, I got to play with Jackson Browne. I really enjoyed that because I'm a huge fan, and
right.
I was sitting there and listening to him play like these days, and like in the dressing room or whatnot, and him being so nonchalant about it. I'm just like,
right. Yeah, that could be daunting. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, that was a fun one, I guess. Because I always like getting to fanboy a little bit. I do enjoy that.
So are you doing gig? I know you have a band, Steelism, as well, or a duo that you do. Are you doing gigs on your own now?
I done one show last week, which was fun and terrifying.
How did it go, though? What were you playing with other people? Was it solo? What are you doing?
It was the coin collection show. I know some of the people from the record played, but I'm still getting used to playing on my own. I'll figure it out. So, but just that sort of. I don't want to be too confident, but
right.
I still want to feel like it's kind of like a deer in headlights. I kind of like that sound, a bit scared, and you still want that sort of like vulnerability. So
right, but at the same time, I mean, you're the front man, so it's a different mindset than being the guy sitting behind the steel guitar, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so, although I go to the side.
Okay.
I'm still pushing myself backwards. I am, so I'm always like, I'll push the guitarist to the front.
Fair enough. So are you thinking about doing another record?
Oh yeah, I think so. There's a label called Full Time Hobby who are putting the record out this week, actually.
Oh, cool.
In worldwide. So, and then I'm working on another record. So, just I'm not sure. I mean, like, there's only 8 songs on the record, so it's a really short record, which I kind of like.
So did I.
Yeah. I like a sort of 30-minute record. I'm a fan of that. No one wants a concept quadruple record. So.
I interviewed somebody the other day, and I was like, oh, okay, I got to listen to the record. And it was like 18 songs. It was like 2.5 hours long. I was like, oh my God. Days just preparing for it.
I mean, like Joni Mitchell's Blues, like 26 minutes.
There you go. That says it all right there, doesn't it?
So yeah, I'm working on it. So I've got to get off tour first and kind of. I just stopped touring last week.
Right.
With Miranda, and then so now I'm kind of back. I had this little room to write music and whatnot, so the dog sleeps there. So
right,
you know.
Well, if you get a chance, come down to this part of the world when things lighten up. We have an amazingly vibrant Americana scene in New Zealand, believe it or not.
I want to go to New Zealand. You know, I was meant to go to Australia with Miranda, and then I was going to like hop over to New Zealand for a little holiday.
Please do.
Then the pandemic hit, and so
fantastic. Well, we got everything sorted out. I think I can let you go now. Thank you very much for talking to me. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It was really enjoyable.
And I'm looking forward to the next record now.
Oh yeah, pressure's on now.
All right. See you later.
Have a lovely day. Bye.
You too. Bye-bye.